Hi, this is another edition of the Stuart Doll Show, starring myself, Stuart Doll. I'm coming to you live from my house right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where the current temperature is about 17 degrees, and it looks like it's going to reach about 21 degrees today. And there might be a 30% chance of drizzle this morning, and then tonight maybe a 60% chance of showers or thunderstorms, and pretty much the same similar thing tomorrow, but with a high of 23. So looks like it may be a bit of a soggy weekend to start off the Labor Day long weekend. So let's just get right into my show. And this is in regards to the migrant crisis. This is from the BBC news website. This one is titled "Migrant Crisis. EU must accept 200,000 refugees, UN says." Antonio Guterres, head of the UN Refugee Agency, said the EU must mobilize full force. Must mobilize full force for the crisis, calling it the defining moment. EU leaders are split over sharing the refugee burden and are scrambling to agree on a response in meetings on Friday. In Hungary, hundreds of refugees are locked in a stalemate with authorities. Migrants are hoping to reach the Austrian border have refused to disembark from a train surrounded by police at the Hungarian town but sorry for the mispronunciation of the Hungarian town. It's about 40 kilometers from the Hungarian capital, Budapest. Hungarian authorities want to move the migrants to a nearby refugee camp, but migrants fear registering there will hamper their plans to seek asylum in Germany and other countries. In the Hungarian capital, Budapest, hundreds of stranded refugees are vowed to walk to Vienna because they are not being allowed to board trains onwards. Hungary has also shut its main border crossing with Serbia after some 300 migrants escaped from a camp in the town of Roskilde, prompting a police search operation. Meanwhile, a Syrian Kurdish child who was drowned while attempting to reach Greece has been buried in his hometown of Kobani on Friday. The family of Alan Kurdi crossed the border from Turkey to Syria, carrying the coffins, burying his body and those of his family members who died with him. Images of the toddler's limp body washed ashore on a Turkish beach have been widely criticized, heightening outrage over the migrant crisis. As the crisis mounts, the EU faces intense pressure to adopt a cohesive policy towards the migrant flow, the greatest seen globally since World War II. Mr. Guterres, the High Commissioner of Refugees, the UNHCR, criticized the bloc's unbalanced, dysfunctional system that he said has only benefited people smugglers. He urged the EU to adapt to admit 200,000 refugees as part of its mass relocation program that had the mandatory participation of all member states. In other developments, Hungarian PMs approve tougher border controls and penalties for those migrants trying to pass through their preferred destination, Germany. That's number one. Number two, members of the European Commission are in the Greek island of Kos, which has examined the difficulties and the large number of refugees and migrants landed there. Number three, the leaders of Poland and the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary will hold an extraordinary summit in Prague. Number five, EU foreign ministers will meet in Brussels. Number seven, the UK government, under pressure over its response to the crisis, has agreed to provide settlement for thousands more Syrian refugees. And the last one, some 50 migrants are feared to have drowned after a boat sank off the coast of Libya, according to the International Organization for Migration. And here's another one. Hungarian MPs on Friday are also voting to create a holding camps for migrants and whether the situation constitutes a state of emergency. Prime Minister Viktor Orban on Thursday described the situation as a German problem, as Germany was where those arriving in the EU would like to go. However, Luxembourg's foreign minister, who is heading to the EU meeting on the crisis, criticized Hungary's conservative leader on German television, saying one sometimes has to be ashamed of Viktor Orban. So yeah, this really goes to show you that this migrant crisis it's getting really out of control. Like, and for the honestly, for the media to use that image of that little 3-year-old child washing with his little limp body washing ashore on a Turkish beach. Why the fucking bloody hell would the media fucking do that in the first place? And sorry, and I apologize for the language to you folks. It's just, they're like, really? Why the hell would the media do that? But, it's the media. What do you expect? Some people in the media are complete fucking nutcases. And again, sorry for the language, but, whatever. I'm entitled to my opinion, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. If they don't like it, they know where to go and how to get there. And I really could give a two shits about it, honestly. What else? In a CFL scores, the only other score I can say right now is the BC Lions beat the Montreal Alouettes 25-16 on Thursday. And then the one game, the Labor Day Classic between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, is at 3 o'clock tomorrow. And then the two Labor Day games will be the Battle of Ontario between the Toronto Argonauts and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and then the Battle of Alberta between the Eskimos and the Stampeders. So these are to be, this is going to be, an awesome, Labor Day long weekend for some, for some good hard-nosed, in-your-face, smash-mouth football, which all football fans would love, because they all love the sound of helmets and shoulder pads, crashing against each other. I just love that sound. Eddie and that. What else? Anyways, here's another news-related subject. This is coming out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. This is from the CTV News website. It is titled "Severe Storm Floods Winnipeg Streets and Underpasses." Multiple weather watches and warnings were in effect for Winnipeg in parts of southern Manitoba on Friday afternoon. A number of Winnipeg streets and underpasses were flooded from the heavy rainfall. The cluster of severe thunderstorms has now moved into the Winnipeg area and is moving north. Numerous reports of torrential rainfall have been received. More than 50 millimeters possible in localized areas, and some areas could see wind gusts up to 90 kilometers an hour. Intense and frequent lightning is also expected, said Environment Canada around 2:15 p.m. Later, it said in the hour between 2 and 3 p.m. when the storm was the strongest in Winnipeg, 68.1 millimeters of rain was recorded at Wilkes and the Perimeter Highway. In general, the city received 30 to 45 millimeters of rain. At 8:30 p.m., the Logan Underpass at Route 90 in Korean was closed due to flooding during the afternoon rush hour. Said 6 cars got stuck in the water on Route 90. 2 remained stuck before 9 p.m. The city of Winnipeg reported power outages affected traffic lights at 12 locations. By 8 p.m., it had received 1 report of a basement flooding, 35 cases of sewage backup, and nearly 100 reports of plugged catch basins. By 8:30 p.m., Environment Canada had lifted all severe thunderstorm watches and warnings across Manitoba. All I gotta say about the storm that the severe thunderstorm and the torrential rain we got yesterday afternoon, holy shit. Like, that was a lot of rain, and the rain was just coming down like fast, like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And I even got caught in that rain on the way home from my job. I work at a retirement home in the kitchen, not right across from the Grace Hospital emergency room, for you people that may not know. Everything was perfectly fine. It started raining a little bit, and as I got up the bridge going over Sturgeon Creek, whoosh, then the rain started. It started, and I go, holy shit, there's gonna be a lot of problems tonight with, people getting stuck in the cars getting stuck in the water, power outages, you name it. Anything that could have gone wrong during yesterday's storm went wrong with the old sewage, with cases of sewer backups and plugged catch basins, and flooded out underpasses, you name it. Like, yeah, that storm literally, like holy shit, that was a big storm. Like, it was a pretty big one. But anyways, other than that, here's a article from the Guardian. It is titled. This is in relation to the migrant crisis. If you guys want, if you want my honest opinion, in regards to the migrant crisis, I think EU leaders should be doing more, to take in, these refugees and that, and refugees, migrants, whatever you want to call them, because all they simply want is they want a better life for not only themselves but their families too, because these people have had to flee, that are coming, have mostly fled from Syria and Iraq, for 2 reasons. Well, in Syria, the civil war in Syria, people have been forced to flee, and in Iraq, there's the problem with ISIS, running rampant, and that all over the place. So like I swear, like even and this is just my honest opinion. I think the Hungarian government should show some heart and compassion, when it comes to these migrants, because they just want a better life for themselves. But I can understand the Hungarian government's point of view. Maybe the way that some of these migrants are going about it. Maybe be made constitute being criminal or whatever. But but that's just my honest opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but that's just my honest opinion. What was I gonna say? Anyways, here's an article in regards to the migrant crisis called "Germany Can Cope with Refugees Without Raising Taxes," says Merkel. Angela Merkel has said Germany can cope with the record influx of refugees this year without raising taxes or without jeopardizing its balanced budget. More than 100,000 asylum seekers entered Germany in August, and about 800,000 refugees and migrants are expected in the country in the total of this year, 4 times last year's level. In light of the influx, the government plans to introduce a supplementary budget to free up funds for refugees and to help the towns on the front line that are already struggling to fund accommodations and medical cares for new arrivals. And that was it. And then Hungary's police chief said that the buses are no longer being provided to transfer migrants to the Austrian border. The provision of buses towards Austria is a one-off, and there will be no more vehicles to send refugees walking along the road. Hungary's provision of around 90 buses following a march on Friday towards Austria by around 1,200 migrants from Budapest's train station. Today, at least 500 people began a second march towards Austria. And this really honestly goes to show you that the desperation of these people. It just really goes to show you, I feel sorry for some of these, migrants, because, all they simply want is they want a better life for themselves, and, I don't think that, some EU countries are, doing enough to do this, or they are doing enough, and maybe they're not, but I don't I have an opinion, but I don't really have a a concrete, honest opinion on this matter. Anyways, what was I gonna say? What was it? Here's an article from CNN. This is from Nickelsdorf, Austria. Some Austrians cheered as busloads of migrants pulled up on their border with Hungary early Saturday, and the weary pastors clutching children streaming towards them. The pastors carrying their meager belongings in backpacks that they exstated in the vehicles in the rain. The walk on over the border to Nickelsdorf in Austria's Burgenland state, where applause broke out amongst groups walking the convoys of buses with food. The Austrian Red Cross has also provided medical supplies and warm blankets. At least 5,500 refugees have arrived in Austria from Hungary since Friday night. The United Nations Refugee Agency said Saturday afternoon local time, some 2,500 are still in the border town of Nickelsdorf, and are waiting to head to the capital, Vienna, the UNHCR has said via Twitter. The deputy chief of the Burgenland state police, Werner Fasten, earlier said that about 10,000 migrants are expected in total. There are only enough beds for 600 in and around Nickelsdorf, and the bulk of the refugees are sent to Vienna via trains or buses, he said. We are trying to move as many as possible in the direction of Vienna, Fasten said. The migrants will receive food, drink, and, if needed, medical care. Some who wish to continue to Germany will be permitted to do so. Their arrival in Austria caps an emotional week for migrants, as many of whom who walked for hours before they got into dozens of buses provided by Hungarian authorities. In light of the situation, Austrian and German officials agreed to allow thousands of migrants into their countries. Austrian Chancellor Werner Fayermann said. What was I going to say? A chaotic scenes erupted Thursday as trains packed with Syrian refugees were halted at a station outside the Hungarian capital, Budapest. Police scattered at the side of the track as trains abruptly stopped, but the families hoping to travel to Austria or ultimately Germany refused to get off despite suffocating heat and limited food. Hungarian authorities want to send them to a nearby holding camp, but they fear that once they would be badly treated and unable to continue their journey north, the migrants refused. The standoff lasted more than a day. Hundreds set off on foot Friday along the track towards the Austrian border, about 100 miles away. Hungary eventually sent buses to pick them up. About 300 more agreed to go to a nearby refugee camp, according to Hungarian government statement. The NKOS, the UN Refugee Agency, said a 50-year-old man died Friday. Intel reports suggest he fell and hit his head on the tracks while trying to run away from police, said. So yeah. And more than 100,000 other refugees set off on foot from Budapest's main station, where they had been waiting for days to travel onward to Western Europe and walk for hours beside a highway, and they were also picked up by buses as well as others still at the station. So yeah, this just goes to show you, this migrant crisis is getting so out of control. It's not even funny to begin with. This is honestly really hard to comprehend. What's going on here? It honestly breaks my heart. The way, what some of these refugees have had to go through because of the constant they've had to go through constant fear in that, and I feel really sorry for them in a way. But I think this migrant crisis is way far from over. It's not far from over. Oh, excuse. Pardon me. That was a good burp. Oh, I can still taste my friends. Oh yeah. I'm just messing with YouTubers. Sometimes I'm not always crazy first thing in the morning, but sometimes with people and when they drink coffee, you know not to mess with them first thing in the morning because before they've had the first cup of coffee, otherwise they'll go and they'll basically bitch you out in that because they haven't had their first cup of coffee in the morning. But I'm not the type of person like, you know, like sometimes in the morning, like I'm not the a crabby type, you know, before if I haven't had my first cup in the morning, I just say like, leave me alone. Haven't had my first cup of the coffee of the morning. Just please leave me alone. You know, type of thing. But I'm not, you know, the crabby, bitchy type that'll, yeah, type of coffee drinker that'll, you know, you know, first thing in the morning if I haven't had my first cup of coffee in the morning. But yeah, honestly, I gotta say, you know, that storm yesterday, like, holy crap, like, like that, like, this type of storms, you know, usually happen, you know, right around Labor Day long weekend. Like, it's the last weekend of the summer, and usually most of the time we get like a really big storm and just whoosh, you know, type of thing. But anyways, oh, and this is an article from the Winnipeg Sun. This is from, you know, today's edition. It's titled "Storm Wreaks Havoc, Rains Out Concert." A torrential thunderstorm and the forecast for another one has caused the cancellation of Friday night's Headley concert at Assiniboine Park. The Sound and Sky benefit concert featuring Headley with special guests Sloan and the Proud Sons was cancelled at 3:30 p.m. With the weather now seen right now, we have made the decision not to proceed with the performance as we don't want to put the performers, crews, and our guests in danger, said Trevor Clearwater, Director of Visitor Services at Assiniboine Park Conservancy, in a press release. It's very disappointing, but the unfortunately the weather is sometimes we cannot control. Information about ticket refunds will be released early next week, conservatory officials said. Meanwhile, a number of power outages were reported throughout Winnipeg during the afternoon storm. Meanwhile, Ness Avenue was closed in both directions from School Road to Valley Drive over Surgery Creek after damaged land drain pipe prevented excess water from the storm to properly drain. A thunderstorm watch remains in effect for the area, with much of the storm's more expected, up to 50 millimeters expected by the morning. So, it's really unfortunate, that had to happen, but you really always cannot, control the weather. But like I said, and this is my honest opinion, Mother Nature can be just basically a total biatch at times. That basically, this storm yesterday is basically Mother Nature's way of, giving the finger to Winnipeg, basically the Winnipeg and Manitoba, and saying, you know what, saying, screw you, Winnipeg and Manitoba. You know what? Mother Nature saying, you know what? If I wanna make your lives, a living, hell with this type of weather, I'll do it. I think that's what, Mother Nature, honestly thinks, But sometimes, like, you really cannot control the weather, but, whatever. Anywho, so yeah, that was really unfortunate that those people, that were going to that concert at the Assiniboine Park, couldn't go yesterday because of the weather. But what can you expect? You can't control the weather and that. And here's another, news-related story from CBC News Manitoba. It's titled "Gas Prices Roll Below $1 in Winnipeg," which is this is with these gas prices dropping below $1 a liter is a welcoming sight for most drivers. and at. Gas prices in Winnipeg have fallen below the dollar mark for the first time in a long while. It is just as the long weekend begins. The posted price at some gas stations on Friday morning was 99.4. Just a couple weeks ago, the pump price was $1.20 per liter. Typically, drivers expected to see prices jump during the long weekend in the summer. So, like I said, this is a welcoming sight for drivers. What else? Well, this has been another edition of my show, the Stuart Dahl Show. For you young people, you stay in school, stay out of trouble, and you'll do fine. Alvidazane, peace, and bye-bye, and just a reminder for you YouTubers that may be on YouTube that are here from Winnipeg, the first day of school is Wednesday, September 9th. But otherwise, Alvidazane, bye, and stay cool, my friends.